Tonight, Saskatchewan's chief coroner issues recommendations to the health authority after a 31-year-old's fatal drug overdose. Also, a Saskatoon woman pleads not guilty to charges of abducting her child and faking their deaths.
This is CBC Saskatchewan News.
It is Thursday, January 5th, and the CBC Saskatchewan News starts right now. Good evening and thanks for watching. Team Canada is going for it all in the World Juniors Hockey Tournament in Halifax right now. They have a chance to win the gold, but they have a fierce opponent in Team Czechia. And in Regina, fans have gathered at the Brandt Centre to watch the game on the big screen. That is where we find our Ethan Williams. Ethan, how is Team Canada doing?
Well, you've joined us at a good time, Sam. Team Canada has just scored. They are up 1-0 now in the first period of this game. A very intense battle happening on the ice right now. Of course, they got here after that decisive victory last night over Team USA. 6 unanswered goals for the Canadians to win that game 6-2 over the Americans last night. One of the goal scorers yesterday, Regina Pat's own Connor Bedard, who of course is breaking records at the World Juniors, has 23 points over just 6 games in the World Juniors. A lot of people here at the Brandt Centre this evening cheering him on, but he's not the only Regina Pat in this gold medal game. Stanislav Svozil, who is a Regina Pat's defenseman, is actually the captain for Czechia, the team that Canada is facing in this game tonight, and he has 8 points of his own in this tournament. Of course, both NHL prospects and both teams, Czechia and Canada, are pretty evenly matched, so a pretty fierce battle on the ice tonight. But the Regina Pats, no matter who wins and who loses, likely just going to be happy to get both Bedard and Svozil back on their roster once this tournament is done. The Pats have lost 5 of their last 6 games, and they could easily use the helping hand from those two. In the Brandt Centre tonight, lots of people here, as you can see, especially in the section behind us there, who are taking this in. This is going on tonight throughout the game, so people are encouraged to come down. It is free, and a lot of people taking it in. The smells of popcorn here in the stadium tonight. That's it for us for now, but we'll have more on the game and, of course, a full weather update coming up a little bit later. Sam?
Thanks, Ethan. That is Ethan Williams live from the World Juniors Gold Medal Game watch party at the Brandt Centre in Regina. It's been a little over a year since a Regina father of 2 fatally overdosed, just hours after being released from hospital. Now, Saskatchewan's chief coroner has made recommendations to the health authority. Jesse Anton has more on those and reaction from the man's family.
He wanted to live, he wanted to be here, but he had no help.
Shane Turner's mother says he was rushed to hospital after a drug overdose in November 2021. He received medical care but was released within hours.
He wanted to go to detox, he wanted to see an addiction counselor. He asked 7 times.
Shane Turner's family says he didn't want to be released from hospital. That hospital records show he asked healthcare workers 7 times to be sent to detox. Instead, he was released with pamphlets and a cab voucher. The 31-year-old died that same day of a fentanyl overdose.
We definitely feel defeated as a family.
His family and the opposition NDP called for an inquest into how he died. Instead, Chief Coroner Clive Wayhill did his own investigation and came up with 2 recommendations for the Saskatchewan Health Authority.
When people need an addictions bed, if they don't get one right away, we see them going back out and then returning into their drug habit again. So I thought it was very important to get a recommendation as quickly as I could to the SHA.
One recommendation is to give naloxone kits to people treated for drug toxicity or addiction before they're released from care. The other is a formal protocol to give ER patients immediate access to detox beds. Harm reduction advocates agree things need to change.
And at some point, our governments need to stand up and say that we're not going to stand for these deaths anymore.
While Turner's loved ones didn't get the inquest they had hoped for, they say it's still something.
I want him to be remembered as a change in the system.
That's what we really want.
I don't want him to be just another number on a report.
The Saskatchewan Health Authority says it will take several weeks to to review the coroner's recommendations. Jesse Anton, CBC News, Regina.
Dawn Walker is pleading not guilty to charges of abducting her child and faking their deaths. She entered the plea this morning in Saskatoon Provincial Court. Walker appeared by phone with her lawyer. She's also chose to have her trial at Provincial Court. The 48-year-old and her child disappeared from Saskatoon in late July. They were found in Oregon 12 days after they'd been reported missing, and Walker was arrested. She's been charged with offenses including abduction, fraud, and identity theft. The Crown estimates her trial will last 3 weeks. A meeting is set for February 15th to choose a trial date. Walker waived her right to a preliminary hearing. The ninth and final suspect in the death of Megan Gallagher is now in custody. Saskatoon police arrested 24-year-old Sky Summer Henry yesterday. She appeared in provincial court this morning. She's charged with first-degree murder. This is the photo circulated of Henry when she was on the run. Police believe that she was one of 9 people responsible for Gallagher's death. The 30-year-old disappeared September 20th, 2020. Police suspected the worst from the start. Her remains were found northeast of Saskatoon last fall. Regina Crime Stoppers is highlighting a very successful 2022, one that ended with a significant recovery of cash, drugs, and property. Last year, more than $686,000 worth of stolen items were recovered because of tips from the public. According to Crime Stoppers, that is the highest amount in the past 4 years. Regina Police Chief Evan Bray says success isn't measured in dollars and cents. Last year, from 715 tips, there were 24 arrests and 44 charges.
You get a call on a tip of someone who gives you information on someone who committed an assault. That might allow you to close the case and make an arrest, but the amount of property you're going to seize will be virtually nothing. Whereas someone who says, I know where there's a garage full of stolen snowmobiles, that gives you obviously a tip that may or may not lead to an arrest, but results in thousands of dollars in property being recovered. So it really does fluctuate depending on the types of crimes that are being investigated.
If you're wondering which cases recoveries are related to, Chief Bray says they can't actually tell you. That's to protect the anonymity of tips. More than $8,000 in reward money was approved for 31 different tips that came in, but only 11 people have claimed their money, meaning 20 people still need to follow up. Since its inception in 1984, more people have made more than 25,000 tips through Regina Crime Stoppers. Those tips have led to 2,300 arrests and 1,900 charges laid.
My ultimate goal was to have a rewarding career and hopefully make an impact and change on people's lives, especially for those other minority groups. Hopefully they can see me as a role model and make them want to do better things in the future as well.
Joey Moe is one of 10 new recruits to join the Regina Police Service. The 23-year-old grew up in Regina, but says his parents came from China and Vietnam. Moe says he wanted to make them proud so their sacrifices don't go to waste. Several police forces around Saskatchewan are welcoming new officers this month. Prince Albert just hired 4 and Moose Jaw 2. The recruits will attend police college for the next 5 months, then start their careers. Electric vehicles are slowly making inroads in Saskatchewan, but it's still hit and miss to find fast chargers if you want to travel long distances. The president of the Saskatchewan Electric Vehicle Association says more chargers are needed in rural hubs. Matt Pointer says there needs to be a network of fast chargers and not just on major highways.
We would hope that we can start to focus on more of those rural areas as agricultural electrification is starting to become more and more of a thing, especially with pickup trucks. In the rural areas, there's a lot of people that exclusively drive pickup trucks because their operation basically requires it, right? And so we're hoping to get into those smaller centers with those DC fast chargers and along those secondary highways that would directly benefit those folks that are looking to drive electric.
Sask Power says help is coming. Last year, Sask Power announced funding for fast chargers with support from Ottawa. 20 communities will be awarded up to $200,000 to install charging hubs, and those communities will be announced early this year. It was a big day for outdoor rinks in Regina. In Wascana Park, the free rink on the lake is now officially open for the 2023 season. You can find it at Legislative Landing, and there are washrooms and a warming facility on site. And in downtown Regina, the free skating rink is open at City Square. Skate rentals are free there during staffed hours, and at both sites, there are several special events planned for later in the season. We'll be back after the break. Welcome back. It was back to school today for most students in Saskatchewan, but many families will keep kids home because they're sick. Whether it's respiratory or gastro, several illnesses are sending children to the doctor, even to the hospital. Dr. Molly Brindamore is a pediatrician in Saskatoon, and she joins me now. Thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me. Hello.
Dr. Brindamore, what illnesses are you seeing the most in children right now?
What we're seeing the most is respiratory illnesses, what we call bronchiolitis. So it's viruses, and there's a huge variety of them, which are causing difficulties breathing, particularly in kids less than 5. So in December, we had lots of troubles with influenza, as I'm sure you know. This has subsided somewhat, and then now we see RSV coming back with a force, but also rhinovirus, metapneumovirus, all sorts of respiratory viruses, which makes babies in particular quite at high risk of hospitalization.
There might be parents watching this with sick kids wondering, what's the threshold? So what kind of cases require hospitalization? When should you go?
Yes. So my answer to this is, if you're worried, we'll always be happy to see you in the emergency department. Don't wait at home wondering if you should go or not. Usually, if you're wondering if you should go, that's probably a sign that you should. But of course, a baby or a child who's struggling to breathe so much that he can't feed appropriately, doesn't pee their usual amount, has a fever that's prolonged, like let's say more than 3 to 5 days of fever, they should probably get checked out, or they're too tired, too lethargic to start feeding. Then those would all be reasons to come in. And a child we call that work of breathing. So if they are breathing a lot faster than usual, or we see the skin in between their ribs sucking in when they're breathing, those are signs that the child should be assessed.
What kind of pressure are these hospitalizations of children placing on the healthcare system that maybe we haven't seen before?
So the hospitals are full, and we have the same number of rooms and the same number of staff that we do in usual time. And so kids are waiting a long time in the emergency department for a bed to free itself in the hospital. And we're seeing kids wait and emerge for 16, 18 hours overnight, which we haven't seen in previous years. And usually we always have like a bed here and there that we can fill, but now we're, at capacity. And then, what I've seen in the past few days is that we're even starting to think about, redistributing material across the province and saying, are we going to run out of more intensive support like high flow or ventilators? We haven't, but we're starting thinking about that as well, and kind of choosing really wisely how we start it and how we wean it, etc.
With kids being back at school, we know how the germs spread in schools. What can families do to protect themselves or others?
Yes, that's a very good question. So vaccines, of course, we talk a lot about vaccines. The flu vaccine is still available. The COVID vaccine is still available. Please go get immunized. You might still get sick, but you might not get admitted or get severe complications. So this is a very important thing. And then staying home when you're sick to decrease transmission. Of course, I think people have been generally very good about doing that, and I would encourage them to continue to do that. I know as a working mother that, it's hard to keep on working and having kids at home who potentially might be sick. And then, of course, mask wearing, it works. It works to decrease transmission and maybe prevent a few illness in children. And good old hand washing and cough etiquette, etc. works as well. But those are simple measures.
Thank you so much for making time for us today.
Thank you so much for having me.
Dr. Molly Brindamore is a pediatrician in Saskatoon.
This weather update is brought to you by Capital Ford Lincoln. 22 model clear out is on now.
And our weather specialist Ethan Williams joins me now. What's the temperature like in the Brand Center tonight?
Well, it may be a little bit cold outside, Sam, but it is definitely heating up in here tonight as everyone watches the gold medal game of the World Juniors Hockey Championship. This is happening through the night tonight. It is free admission through the game to come in here and check it out. We are right now, of course, in the intermission between the first and second periods. Canada up 1-0. Definitely going to be an interesting game for sure against Czechia. Now, outside, the main weather feature that we've been talking about is fog. And let's take a look at our advisories right now, because we do have fog advisories in effect for a broad swath of the province. And in these areas tonight is where it will likely be the most dense. But I think, again, a lot of us are going to be seeing areas of fog throughout the province tonight. And that is really dropping visibility, having an impact on where things are at the moment, reduced significantly in parts of the province, and I think that will likely be the story as we head through the night tonight and into tomorrow morning. Now, with this really stagnant atmosphere that we've been having, it's creating that fog, and that fog lingering is actually causing a little bit of air pollution, and that is raising the index of the Air Quality Health Index. So for places like Regina, Saskatoon, Estevan, Prince Albert, that level's already up to a 3, and it could rise as high as a 4 in places like Saskatoon, Regina, and Swift Current overnight tonight. And that means that people who are particularly susceptible to lowered air quality will likely have maybe a little bit of difficulty as they're heading out the door tonight, so just keep that in mind. The fog is also making it a little more difficult for temperatures to get higher, so they are currently sitting in the mid to upper minus teens right now through much of the province. But as we go through the next few days, we are expecting a warm-up. It is starting in western portions of the province tomorrow. High pressure along the eastern side will keep the eastern half of the province cloudy and cool tomorrow, with highs into the mid-minus teens. That high pressure will start to move out as we head through the day tomorrow and into Saturday. When we finally get some clearing, temperatures will get warmer, and we should get rid of the fog as well. But that also means that our winds are going to be picking up a little bit, specifically tomorrow in southwestern sections of the province, where they could gust as high as 40 kilometers an hour. But as we head through Saturday, it looks like those are finally going to start to die down somewhat. Over the next 7 days in Regina, as I mentioned, the warm-up as promised. High pressure moves out, our temperatures go up, and that means that we get some sunshine as well. Overnight lows above minus 10, which will be quite nice. Windy to start the beginning of next week, and a little bit of snowfall as well. In Saskatoon, that warm-up begins tomorrow. I think it'll be a little sunnier than Regina, and you'll continue to see that warm-up through the weekend. As we start next week, it looks like we're a little bit cloudier, and then we'll see some sunnier conditions as well from there. We await the start of the second period, Sam. We'll have another update a little bit later.
All right, enjoy the game, Ethan. Well, not only has Connor Bedard made history at the World Juniors, but the 17-year-old Regina Pats star has also become an artist's muse. Samantha Woj is a visual artist based in Quebec. She posted this video on Twitter of her painting Bedard using a hockey stick and a puck as a paintbrush. She says she started out with a pencil outline and then used the equipment for the rest. Woj says it started as a joke, but she's actually been successfully painting with different sports equipment since the Olympics. We'll be back after the break. Prince Harry claims that his brother, Prince William, physically attacked him during an argument in 2019. The bombshell revelation comes from Harry's highly anticipated memoir, set to be released next week. Sarah Larnuk has the details.
The incident that's making headlines today is an alleged assault that actually occurred between the two brothers back in 2019. And all that we're hearing today is actually coming from the Guardian newspaper, because this book wasn't scheduled to be released until next week. However, the Guardian did manage to get a leaked copy of that book. And in the pages of that book, Harry details an incident where Prince William, he says, came over to his and Meghan's home, called Meghan difficult, rude, and abrasive, before grabbing Harry by the collar, tearing his necklace, and shoving him to the ground, landing on his dog's food dish that then shattered and injured his back further. Now, Harry says in the book that William did apologize for the incident later. However, that doesn't seem to have made things between the brothers any better, because a second incident that was detailed in the book occurred in 2021 at Prince Philip's funeral. And there, Harry says that his father, now King Charles, had to come between the two brothers and adjudicate. And Harry says that King Charles said, quote, "Please, boys, don't make my final years a misery." However, there is some hope from Harry that some sort of rapprochement might be possible between him and his family. There's 2 interviews that are scheduled to be released alongside his book that are set to air this weekend, one with 60 Minutes, one with ITV News. Let's hear some of what he had to say there.
They feel as though it's better to keep us somehow as the villains. They've shown absolutely no willingness to reconcile. I would like to get my father back. I would like to have my brother back.
We are expecting to hear far more details from this book in the coming days, as even though it's not set to be released until next week, Spanish retailers accidentally put it on the shelves today. Sarah Larnuk, CBC News, London.
Local reports say 2 people are dead, including 1 baby, after a powerful bomb cyclone slammed Northern California. You're looking at rescue efforts by the San Francisco Fire Department, removing the limbs of a downed tree to save a family trapped in a car. In San Jose, a man was rescued from raging waters and brought ashore. The storm brought hurricane-force winds and heavy downpours throughout much of the area. More than 180,000 customers were without power this morning. The governor issued a statewide emergency declaration yesterday.
Well, thankfully, our weather going to be a little calmer than that in our neck of the woods, but fog is possible tonight in much of the province, including Regina, where we're down to -17 at midnight. Fog still lingering in the morning hours, our temperature not moving very much, and we'll see some partly cloudy skies. The fog should be burning off as we get to the noon hour, although should still be there maybe in a few pockets here and there. We're getting to around -14, which is where we should be, and a little bit of wind going to make that wind chill feel closer to -20. In Saskatoon, fog patches possible as well, -15. We're going to be dropping a little bit in terms of our temperature, getting to 8 a.m. at -16. Still some fog lingering around, and that should be burning off as well by around the noon hour or so, getting to -12, getting to a high of -8, which will be nice. Second period just getting underway here, Sam. We're expecting a pretty good game. Go Canada.
Go Canada, indeed. Thanks, Ethan. And before we leave you tonight, a really cool opportunity for a Saskatchewan designer to connect through her culture with Hollywood star Jason Momoa.
That's made me what I am.
The star of Aquaman and the Apple TV Plus series C was gifted a custom piece of beadwork from Christine Tournier. Tournier is from St. Louis, just outside of Prince Albert. She's behind SS River Designs, a women's clothing line that incorporates Métis beadwork. Her friend's husband worked on C with Momoa, and they asked her to create the gift for him. They also requested specific things in the beadwork that would give the medallion meaning. Tournier was told Momoa graciously accepted the gift and was happy to take photos with the couple. Super cool opportunity. That is it for us tonight. For News Anytime, you can head to cbc.ca/sask or subscribe to the CBC Saskatchewan YouTube channel. Glenn Reed and Ethan will be back with more local news at 11. Thank you so much for watching, and have a great night.